Hello and welcome to another video. This is a second attempt because I ran over time, and as you know, I like to challenge myself to stay in the 15-minute margin, and it saves me faffing around with my YouTube channel. This is a video response to Gull Payne. He put up a really interesting topic about like favourite racing games. I'm probably going to waffle a bit less than I did because I'm aware that I'm daft and I don't keep an eye on the time when I'm shooting video and such like, but so I'm going to try and keep on topic, yeah, because that's going to happen. Anybody who's watched my other videos, I'm going to try and keep on topic. Dang it, I want to keep on topic. I want to do it. Anyhow, so without further ado, I chose 5 of my favourite racing games. As I've got older, not because I've got older, but because, like, you know, the style of games has moved on and such. Like, I've been less into driving games the older I get, because driving games have definitely become less like I want them to be. They're more about, you know, like a lot of games really, they're more about online multiplayer, and the single player is kind of a bit of a tacked on at the end kind of thing for a lot of them, because, you know, if you've got a massive online component and you're pushing all these little things you can get for the online game and all that kind of stuff, of course you're not gonna want people playing single player all the time, and a lot of them come out of teams that, you know, really are pushing that online play, like, you know, EA and the such like. Waffle. Keep on task, man. Keep on task. So yeah, but so a lot of these are older games. In fact, they're all older games, to be honest. I think the newest one is probably about 2002 or something like that. So first is Ridge Racer Type 4 on the PlayStation 1. Has to probably be the one racing game I have played the most out of any racing game I've owned on any system. I had the demo of it when I first bought my PlayStation, and I played that literally to the point where I could probably have beaten the demo track with my eyes shut. That is how much I enjoyed the game. It had an amazing soundtrack, beautiful graphics, amazing drift handling. Yeah, just like, and you go back to that now, and a lot of 3D games, like, people always say, like, you know, God, there's dead people all over the place. I was wondering around, who's that guy? What's this guy up to? Sorry. So yeah, you come back to that now, right? You've obviously murdered somebody, so I don't feel bad about that, and you're a bandit, so you're probably going to try and kill me as soon as you realise that you were gonna, you were being followed by an elf with a very powerful bow and arrow. So yeah, Ridge Racer Type 4, that's a game I come back to all the time. It's timeless for me, but also a game that, unlike a lot of 3D games, especially like the 32-bit era, I think it's dated really well. It's still a pretty game, and I think it's one of those games that had really good art direction, and I think if you have really good art direction from your game, it stops them from dating quite so badly. Especially with 3D games, because obviously 3D technology is something that moves really quickly versus like pixel art. You know, the only thing that's like that differs with pixel art is resolutions and how many pixels you can actually throw about. So, like, you know, old pixel art games still look really pretty, I feel anyway. I know some people don't like pixel art. Moving swiftly on before I inadvertently time myself out again. Wipeout 2097, also on the PlayStation 1. Again, a game that's got really great art direction, soundtrack, handling, really fun to play. And another game like Ridge Racer Type 4 that has a really enjoyable single player game loop, which is good because the first 2 Wipeouts on PlayStation 1 were single player only, which kind of stinks really. You know, it would be nice if they'd had split screen, but I kind of understand that those were really... Oh, come on.
You have committed crimes against Skyrim and her people. What say you in
There's
your
about
defense?
50 guys back there who've, like, killed loads of horses. Is that going to work?
Forgive me, Payne. I didn't realize it was you.
Wow, I didn't know that worked.
But even the Jarl's influence has its limits. Be more careful.
I didn't blooming do anything. I killed a bandit back there. That's your job. Sorry, anyway, yelling at people. Wipeout 2097. Brilliant game. Another one that I come back to time and time again. Always got time to play a bit more of that. Never actually beat that. It is a really challenging game. I can gold medal the first 4 stages, but the final 2 maps I just cannot beat, and I just kind of gave up trying a long time ago, to be honest. But I always come back to play the first 4 tracks. Maybe I should have another go at the later tracks at some point. Number 3 is LED or LED Storm, which came out tail end of the 80s. It's a Capcom top-down racer. If you've not played it, but you have played Road Fighter, it's kind of like a cyberpunk version of Road Fighter, and you can jump on enemy cars to destroy them, which is pretty cool. And there's like shops in between stages and such like. I was obsessed with that game when I was playing the C64. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, never mind. I ain't got time to worry about that. I'm talking about racing games. So LED Storm, very cool game. Great soundtrack by Tim Follin as well. Probably a bit dated now if you pulled it back up. And a lot of those C64 games, when I pull them back up these days, like I mean, we've still got a functioning C64 somewhere, but intermittently, like I'll pull up the old C64 games to have a look at them. A lot of them haven't aged very well, and I don't know if LED Storm has. And I never played the arcade version of LED Storm, which I think is called Mad Gear, which is a tie-in to Final Fight, because like Mad Gear is the gang that kidnapped Hagar's daughter and start all that craziness. Next one is Tokyo Extreme Racer for the PlayStation 2, which is actually a game that I only came by like in the last sort of couple of years or so. It's a really unique racing game that is a one-on-one racing game that plays more like, it's like driving Street Fighter, obviously without the special moves and such like, but it's kind of a Japanese drifting street racing type game. But when you start a race by, you've got free reign of Tokyo and you can drive wherever you want. The map gradually gets bigger as you beat more opponents and unlock more cars and such like. Has a really in-depth career mode where you sort of make your own car, you upgrade it and such like, customize it, and you know, it's kind of like the sort of laddish street racing kind of thing, like sort of Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift kind of deal. But unlike the Fast and the Furious driving games, which I've played a few of and I didn't really get on with, Tokyo Extreme Racer is a really solid racing game. Yeah, when you start a race by, you find, you know, if you find someone you want to challenge driving around, and you drive up to them and you flash your headlights at them, and then that starts a race. And when you start a race, you both have an HP bar, and as the HP goes down if you're behind your opponent, or the opponent's HP goes down if they're behind you, and the last person standing wins the race, which I find a really cool situation, and it kind of sidesteps all the problems that you have with a lot of modern games, even like PS2 era racing games, where they started to introduce really crazy rubber banding, where, you know, if the computer got behind you, they'd suddenly start going a million miles per hour, and it was supposed to make, you know, I think it's supposed to make games more, you know, feel more like believable, like you're always in a race. But in real life, if you're driving a Ferrari, well, in a game as well, if you're driving a Ferrari, you're not going to get overtaken. You shouldn't be getting overtaken by a Mini, and that's what seems to happen in a lot of these games. Is it's just like, oh well, we put this rubber banding system in, so. But the health bar system on Tokyo Extreme Racer means that even if you get overtaken by somebody who's in a really powerful or stupidly overpowered car, that's just driving around, and you didn't realise, you're driving a Skyline and they're driving like a Maserati or something like that, just sort of Japanese equivalent anyway. It's all Japanese, like Asian sort of Asian cars, which is I find really cool, because that's the kind of cars I like the designs of and such like, so that's pretty sweet for me. But yeah, if you pull up on somebody and you don't realise that there's some kind of super driving champion or whatever, you can still kind of like win the race via knowing the layout of the city better, which I find really cool. I find that that's a little bit of realism that I quite appreciate in that game. And also because it's open world, if you lose a race, you can just challenge the guy straight away, and you might be on a better stretch of road to actually win the race on. Like, they might sort of, they might go too fast round a corner and slam into a wall that they don't quite... The AI is really sort of different from other games, and they make mistakes, and they have to, they actually have to brake, and it's a really cool game. The final game I'm going to talk about is V-Rally Championship Edition, which is the Game Boy Color remake of the Game Boy version of V-Rally. And the games are basically identical, but I think V-Rally Championship Edition is slightly better because it's in color. It's also got a sort of more understandable progression, I think. It's not just, oh, here are some races, go race them. Really good, like, late 2D sprite 3D racer, so kind of like your Outruns and your Super Hang-Ons, which by the way are also like honourable mentions. I do like Outrun and Super Hang-On, but obviously, those kind of arcade races, like, they can be a bit one and done, and I kind of lost interest in playing Outrun once I eventually beat it. But yeah, V-Rally Championship Edition is really something that, like, I hate the term hidden gem, but it's definitely kind of overlooked game that, like, I never see people like talking about on like articles about Game Boy games. And I mean, the thing with the Game Boy is a lot of that happens anyway, because I was reading something a couple of weeks back, and it was talking about like underrated Game Boy games, and it was pulling up stuff like Zelda and like Mario Land 2 and whatever, and it's like, oh well, Super Mario Land 2 is underrated because people don't remember it as well as Super Mario Land. It's like, everybody likes Super Mario Land 2. What on earth are you talking about? I'm not going over there. That is some nonsense going on down there. I shall avoid that. I'm not going to be talking and trying to have a magic fight while being bombarded by saber tigers. No, thank you. But yeah, so if you've got a Game Boy, I think it runs on the Game Boy anyway, but you might as well pick up the normal standard V-Rally if you've just got a DMG Game Boy rather than the color version. But if you've got a Game Boy Color, V-Rally Championship Edition is just like a fantastic 2D 8-bit sprite racer, and well worth picking up. And I don't know, because like retro gaming shenanigan pricing has gone a bit crazy with COVID, so I don't know like whether it's as available as it used to be, but it was really easy to find for a decent price. And I'm talking a decent price, I'm not talking like, oh, you can pick it up for £30. It was like, a fiver, like, when I picked it up, I think. I don't know, I can't remember, but it wasn't much money anyway. It was very reasonable. It's well worth picking up. Very good racer. Anyhow, I'm so close to the time limit that I'm going to cut it off there. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and thanks to Gull Payne, who has been a great subscriber. It's great to natter to you, mate, and I thought it'd be fun to do a video response to one of your video responses to somebody else. And yeah, thanks for the interesting subject matter. Anyhow, thank you everybody. Peace out for now, and I'll speak to you all again soon.